Hey there, Sam with you here. It's what is it? Tuesday, December 11th. Tuesday, December 11th here. So as it's a Tuesday, we look at traditional assets and we poll our members. As I remind you every day, that's where these come from. So members asking for a look at the euro and U.S. oil here. So we're going to start with the euro. Now this is convenient. This is the count. We did this, I don't know, a week ago maybe. So back to look at it here, we can kind of evaluate where the count as we left it. I did trade some of this. I caught this move down here, but I'm now out of it. So you got to look. It's interesting how this yellow line here is coming into play. Hang on one second. So you recall this was, if I scrunch this back up here, this was just this straight pivot here. Look how that's continuing to come back into play. Right? It's always a good idea to wick something like that off here. Resistance, resistance, support. There's going to be support again. So the idea being here that we've got completed this 5-wave sequence completes, and now we're correcting that. So we're looking for the obvious areas where we would anticipate some algo participation here. Now I am here on an 8-hour chart, so we're through the 50. It looks like the golden zone is going to be challenged here. It certainly would appear that way. Now we do have this here, and you can't quite see it, but there's an algo target right when we break it in. Let's see if I can show you here. No, I can't. Oh, there's an algo. Well, there you see it right there. So we've got an algo target right on the 65. Kind of that's from this 50. So from here, come here. From this pocket here, there's the target right at the 65. So that's an area of interest to be looking for. So let's go down, let's go to the 4-hour here and see if we can make sense of this. So the idea was we had the completed 5 into the A wave here. We got the pivot here. So remember this pivot is tied to that straight pivot over on the left. So that gave us a clean, we can get a clean 5 down. Now we've got our ABC here. Now this did not look like it was done. There was a possibility we could have been done. Would have been a very short C relative to the A, so the odds were that there was more down. But we do need to recount this here. So if we look here, if we've got this right here coming off of this looks like a fairly solid. I can get a nice 5-wave structure into that A. A, B, C for the B. So this is the pivot where we were drawing this as we left it. So drawing from this pivot, swing high, swing low, right? This should surprise nobody. What do we do? Right to the golden zone. Now so we've got golden zone, tag the 50, 50. That's the 50 from the larger pull. So it looks like this area of prior support now is offering some of that resistance here. We got rejected here. That's what we got there. That's 3-4 days ago. So coming down here now, it's going to be, so if we look here, so the idea was potentially we had a diagonal here, but if this is A, B, C, I think we've got to relabel this. So I think we've got to reconsider this as, so we got an A, B, C, A, B, C. So I think we might have to do it this way and go A, B, C. Let's see how that, if I recall. Right, okay, so there it is. There's back to back. So you can see it's always there, guys. Always there. There it is. Boom. Right, textbook algo play. Right, I think we talked about this last time. Because here was the 50, you got the reaction, then they come back here, golden zone, that takes you right to target. So I think we might have to consider this on a larger degree. So let me get that in a different color, and we'll take this up a degree. Let's go to, okay, so could be A, B. Yeah, let's think about that. So we got a couple of possibilities here. If this is the B, well, so one thought is, are we going to go A, B, C, and we're done here? But this is looking much more corrective. So the alternate that we have to consider is that we're in a diagonal, so that we'd have an ending diagonal. So let's see. So that actually can stay. So we might have it this way. So being that we've got a B here, we can certainly have a diagonal. So we might have 3. Let's put this here just tentatively. Are we going to get down here that far? So let's get that up a degree as well. Let's go to minuet. We'll go to, let's do it in white. so we can see it. Okay, so could this be 1, 2, 3? Looks like I can get an A, three-way B. This is, it's just a straight shot down, so that's just the algo, right? That's just, boom, right to target. So we got to look at that. This looks very corrective looking. So where the 4 is, you can see I have an alert here. If we're going to break that, that was going to confirm this low here. But now it looks to me like this is what we're dealing with here. So might do something, call it, whether that's throw over or not, that could be. All right, we get a little throw over here, so let's look at that. I think we're long enough here. So let's check this relative to the 1. So pulling from this pivot here, let's see. Oh, just barely. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. So this qualifies as a 3 if we've got an A, B, C. So here's why the thinking for a diagonal, right? So we overlap the 1 here. So we could have 1, 2, 3, 1 A, B, C into the 2. Now that's a deep 2, but it does look corrective. So potentially now we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that would get us down here. Let's get that light blue. So let's take that down 1 degree. Bear with me, guys. Okay, so that makes sense. So 1, 2, 3. Yeah, let's see. I'm on a 4-hour. Let's try a 2-hour. See if we can get a better look at that subdivision here. So you'd have to do it this way. So you'd have to play it as A, B, C here to give us that 4 overlapping the 1. So we want to look for something. Let me take this off. Technical here on the 4 relative to the length of the 1 through the 3. So if we grab this pivot here, so remember diagonal, we look 1 through 3. We don't quite make the 50. So this looks fairly solid because I don't think we've got 1, 2, 1, 2. That wouldn't fit here. The symmetry would be way off. So I think that's reasonable here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and we've just done the 1. A, B, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I can get an A, B, C in there. So I think this looks fairly solid. Let's see. A, B, C. Let's get that down a degree here as well. I think that looks fairly solid here. So 3, A, B, C into the 4, 1, 2. So the anticipation would be, now let's pull that off. If that's 1, 2, let's think about it. So if that's 1, 2. Well, here's the minimum qualifier. This, if we're going to stay with this symmetry this channel is offering here, this potentially plays. So we would want to wick off this 1 to see if we're going to end a diagonal with an ending diagonal. So we got to pay attention to that. So certainly bias would be lower. 1, 2. Can we get this? This is our high probability zone for a 3. Now we are in a diagonal. So we got to consider that. So we would be expecting an ABC to come down here. Well, if this is our 5, we could have an ending diagonal. So this could all come down here, which we'd be breaking the 65 of the larger degree. So if we put the whole thing back together, so let me go back to. Can I do it in a 4-hour? I don't think I can. Let's see. Yeah, I don't think I can. I don't think I can scrunch it. No, I can't. So bear with me a second. Let's go to the 8-hour. So let's think, if our C is down here, what's that going to do to the count? So if this is, assuming this completed 5 is in, boy, that's going to be close, right? So, well, 7, 8, 6. So this could still be playing as a 1, 2 if this is A, B, C, and we want to think about the swing relationship between the length of the A projected from the B. So 618, not out of the range of possibility here. First question is, are we going to break the golden zone? So if we do that here, we still have the potential for this to be playing as a C. So we can't eliminate that. And of course, if we're coming down this far here, well, there'll be some structure down here. So prior wave 1. Some things to look at there. Now let me go back here to a 4-hour here because this was worth noting here. So let me pull this off. So we're getting a little bit of a cluster down here. So 1, 2, let's get that off here. So this worth noting. So, all right. right, is I try to remind you guys all the time. So when you've got three, so if you're trying to play an ABC like this, always, always, always get the median lines on it. Get right on there. All right, so let's see. Let me get it dialed in. I'm a little off there. So it's worth doing this just to get, you got to tighten them up. It need to be exact. And as you change time frames, you'll find that they'll get a skew here. So what do we get? So do you see what we get here? So we've got a corner pocket. I'm trying to show you here is this. All right, so there's our corner pocket, 80% probability of making the median line. Boom. Right, you got to pay attention to those. So if we're coming back down here, another test. So look what we've done. We've gone from the median line. Come here, get hot. So if this is 1, 2 to the outer edge, right? So we're getting the upper parallel, right? So potentially now we're coming down here to finish this in 5. But remember, median lines are a leading indicator. So the framing of the market is giving us the potential roadmap here. If this is coming down to take out this low, a revisit to the median line would be very much. So it would be very much in line with the symmetry here. But if this starts to take longer time, so let's say it takes longer than time here, that's where we would look to an alternate. And there's other draws we can make here. All right, so if it's going to hit the median line, we're going to. So that's about as much. Could we take that amount of time here? That would put us into January. So that's still possible. So it could be the 3rd that hits it. Then we bounce for the 4 and finish for the 5 down here. Very reasonable path here to put our C back down here. So let's think about that. Could that work? So if that's all of this has already been realized. So if this is 1, 2, 3, 4, let's think about that in terms of where that could put us. So length of 1 through 3 projected from the proposed 4. Look at that. There's the 100. So that looks like an area of interest. So this is a place to be looking, certainly down here, if we get this far. Now that's a long way down, and that's projecting that would be in sometime in January of next year. So not out of the realm of possibility that we could be following just this very path here. So that framing here, so we'd come down 3, A, B, C into the 4 to get the upper parallel, and then come down here and finish, right? Could be lower. We're just trying to kind of eyeball it here. If we did it like that, we could do it more steeply, right? We don't know what this looks like. Something like that, certainly possible here. Since we're potentially in an ending diagonal, we're paying attention to that one wave. Right, so that'll be interesting to watch how that responds there. So first tell is whether or not we're going to come down here in a 3. If we have this correctly identified, if this is the B and we're going 1, 2, 3 is in, 4 is in, now we're trying to finish the 5 of the C to finish the entire correction of that. Well, I think it was almost a 2-year trend up, now being corrected with this ABC. Right, so kind of interesting, right? Very, very technical. Right? No surprise here, the euro, one of the more technical. Oh shit, they're all technical, right? It's all machines driving it. So, right, that's always what we're trying to do, right? Can we get behind the algos? What'd they do last? Right? And can we fit a wave count around that? We're just trying to tuck in behind them. That's all we're trying to do. Can we use the wave count to try and figure out, well, okay, what'd they do last? And can we use that to help us reduce the risk? Because we can't just take every 50 and 618 on a 4-hour chart, right? The risk is too high for the unless you're a monster whale and you can absorb that kind of drawdown. We're trying to do this with precision. So if this is an algo play, can we use the Elliott count to reduce the risk so we can try and tuck in behind them? So right now, first thing that has to happen, remember, if this is going to come down to this 3, we have to break this 65, which we know there's going to be support there. So if we go back here, we know there's going to be support here. We don't have to wonder about that. I wonder if there'll be any support there. Well, yeah, of course there will be. So but doesn't mean it can't break. It just means that to anticipate here, this is an area where we're likely to see whatever algos are written to buy these, right? That they're going to defend there. Right? Doesn't mean they can't break it. Right? We see it all the time. So pay attention to that. So we've got this nice framing here, and then there will be other pulls. And if need be, if it takes too long to get there, then we go to a modifier. So maybe the shift would do it here. We get the lower parallels. Hard to tell. You might have to work with a different pivot. But right now, there's no reason to move away from, and get it here, from original, right? As long as we stay on this track, that looks like that's where we're headed. Right, so big tell will be what happens down here at the 65. Can they break that? But don't be surprised if you get a reaction off of that. That could be just part of the sequence of this fifth. You get a reaction here, and then we head down. So an interesting one, always very technical in here. Great trading in the euro, but incredibly hypersensitive to the latest report. So don't forget to come over here, and I'm on the wrong week here. So don't forget to come over. So here we are today, right? Always red you got to pay attention to. So we had the PPI that affected the dollar this morning. Now going into tomorrow, we've got big numbers in the US CPI, right, the core CPI, and then Thursday we've got more, and then you've got futures rolling over as well. So this is a lot of volatility. Market is nervous. You're getting, extreme reactions to the slightest little whiff of what's the next interest rate hike. So just be careful in there, right? This is very technical, but right, as I like to remind you, the market, it gives reluctantly, it takes aggressively. So have a stop on it. All right, guys, that'll be a wrap for that. I'll be back. We're going to look at U.S. oil here. Back to you later.